Right back at you.
Hey guys, Notorious here, and welcome to my first Outriders build. This build is going to be my Seismic Commander build. It is a bleed and anomaly power build. Now, before you guys go any further, understand that this build is mainly for people who are kind of just starting, or you're midway through the kind of end game. It's not really going to be doing a crap ton of damage if you're looking for something that's like one-tapping bosses or at least melting them. I am melting them a good majority, but not to some extent. So please keep this in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is, as you see, I do have all Apocalypse tier stuff, but this is not the final product. I don't have the correct Apocalypse tier 3 the perks, so like your third armor mod that you have on from Apocalypse tier. I don't have them all in the right spots, or I don't even have them, but I do know exactly what needs to go there, so I can easily tell you what needs to go where and what to look out for. I will be uploading a second video later on of the final product, but for now I just want to go over the build and how it works. So I'm going to go over skills, class, and then we'll do weapons and armor last. So, our skills. You're going to need to have Earthquake, Tremor, and Impale. Now, the way you should use these in a fighting situation is you're going to go ahead and shoot them and use the procs on our guns, which I'll talk about in a moment. And then you're going to have to activate your Earthquake. You can activate your Tremor if you wish. Really, you should be using Tremor if you're swarmed, due to it giving you the health, draining the health from the enemies around you and healing you. It's kind of like a save your life kind of thing, but if you just want to use it for damage, you can too. But make sure that you shoot first, activate your Earthquake, and then you're going to go ahead and spam your Impales. So then you're pulling out all the damage and melting those bosses and just destroying them. Alright, we're going to go over to the classes. So for your Devastator class, you're going to have it this exact setup. Now, a very important perk is this one down here called Paladin. Ever since they released the update, they have fixed this perk. Originally, you had to use Golem, or I think it was just protection, any kind of protection skills, so it was not really useful because the amount of time for Golem to come back to use the 45% wasn't worth it. I'm glad they took it out and just made it so whenever you use a skill, you get 45% more anomaly power. Alright, next up we're going to go with our Prax points. Now, it may look a little weird, but hear me out on it. You're going to have this exact setup instead of going down a full tree. And the reason why is because you need your seismic skills to do bleed, and then you need the increased damage to bleed by 10%. You need this one down here to increase your anomaly power and resistance piercing by 10%, which if with the normal Devastator class before all these, you will have 40% resistance piercing. this brings it up to 50. So resistance piercing, which is right here, resistance piercing ignores the damage dealt by your abilities. So having 50% of that is really helpful. And then of course you have this one up here, which is the only thing I could really think of to throw this point into, because technically you don't need it, but you do need it. And the only other thing you could throw it into would be this middle tree. But the only problem with the middle tree is you're only getting this 15% damage for 4 seconds within 4 seconds. It's just not worth it. So having I'm gonna butcher that, Unheavenal is a lot easier because it's always going to be procced, it's always going to be there, there's no time limit, it's just always going to be there for you. So having an extra 15% is extremely useful. Okay, now let's go into our stats and our armor. So I'm going to start with the guns. I have a Sunfall, and the Sunfall is not where it needs to be. As you see, I have dimensional rockets. What needs to be in place of dimensional rockets needs to be vulnerable. Now that will help you very much, and the reason why is because after doing some testing between vulnerable and omen, even though omen does cause bleed and do damage, and then it gives you that 10% more incoming damage, vulnerable is at least, I want to say 20 to 30 more incoming damage or resistance that you're throwing on them. So it's incredibly useful to use vulnerable over omen at this point. Now, as you see, I have fortress. Now, you might be wondering why I'm using fortress, and the only reason why we're using fortress is only to get the 25% damage increase. And that 25% is really helpful. Now when you are activating Fortress, you can always tell when it activates. If you look at your character, you'll see like this orange or yellow like kind of aura go around you, and it'll dissipate. That means you've gotten the 25% proc. And once that happens, you need to unleash all your abilities. That means you're spamming your earthquakes, your tremor, and then your impales. And once all those go away within the 10 seconds, you should be able just to go ahead and get that proc again and keep going. And you're just throwing out as much damage as possible. Now the resistance breaker is also really helpful, even though on our armor we have it, I think it's on our where is it? Is it on the hands? Right here. Your earthquake, when you use your earthquake, you permanently reduce the resistance of affected enemies by 30%. I do not know if it stacks. I think it would stack because that would be a total of 65% resistance to the target, which would basically make it a hell of a lot easier to kill them. If this is not stacking, then I would think that it would replace what you've done with your earthquake with this perk, since it's higher percentage. I'm not quite sure of it, do not take my word for it. I just know that this works, especially if you don't have your earthquake, you're automatically throwing on that reduced resistance to the enemy, which is incredibly useful. Now your secondary, I just have this gun because it's the only thing I had that had a fortress on it and vulnerable, so I'm pretty much doing really good. I don't really know what to run for a secondary. Really, it's up to you guys. Just make sure you have vulnerable and fortress on it, and really you could run whatever the heck you wanted. But if you do find something else that has the resistance breaker on it, and you're basically running 2 guns with fortress, resistance breaker, and vulnerable, you're doing pretty good. Like, you're doing better than I am right now. So trying to find that kind of roll on a gun may be hard, or could even be impossible, but I haven't seen any anything that says it's not. So if you find that, that's exactly what you need. Now for your pistol, which we're never going to be using, and the only reason why you have this pistol on you is because even if you're not using a pistol, you are passively getting the attributes from your pistol that go into your stats. So the reason why we're going to be using, as I'm probably going to butcher this again, Boulderlings, is because of the status power and skill life leech. That's the whole reason why we have this on us. I did throw vulnerable on there in case if I do run out of ammo, I have vulnerable on there. Really, you should throw on fortification or fortress. Sorry, you want to throw on fortress, so then you're getting the extra 25% damage proc. All right, now we're gonna go over to our armor. Now, as I said, I don't have the right pieces in the third armor slot, but I do have it written down so then you can go and find those pieces. It doesn't matter where these pieces go as long as they're on the armor. Keep that in mind. Like, if, for instance, my boots are literally the piece you need, but if you don't find Impaler on the boots and you have it on your gloves, keep it. Like, don't stress about having an exactly carbon copy of my build. Please do not stress about it. But we're going to start at the top. So you need a full set of Seismic Commander. You need all attributes completely maxed out. And then these are the mods you're going to be running on it. So you need Ultimate Impaler, which this skill can be used 2 more times before cooldown. You need Unstoppable Force, which increases your anomaly power by 50% of your resistance piercing. As you remember, we now have 50% resistance piercing, so either it's giving us 50 or 25. I would say 25 because it's 50 of it. And then another mod you would have to throw on here would have to be Anomaly Echo in the 3rd slot. I'm just going to go off the list, put wherever you want where. Alright. For the chest piece, you need, oh my god, I'm gonna so butcher that. Palisade. You can read it. Oops, what happened? Okay, you guys can read it, and it increases the skill can spike 2 additional targets, which is nice. You need Blood Boost, which boosts your damage against enemies infected with bleed. Now, I have that stupid perk for Impale. I don't know why they have that perk. It doesn't really help you. What I would throw here is Danger Close. Now, I didn't even read off what any of these do. I can show you in a second. You're going to need Danger Close in this area. That's a very important perk. And the reason why Danger Close is very important, since I know this one off the top of my head, is every enemy that's in close range to you increases your anomaly power by 6%, and it stacks up to 4 times. That's 24%. Yes, which would bring your anomaly power probably up to at least 3 point something million, maybe even 2.9. So you're really getting up there. All right, for your pants, you need Tainted Blood. I got it this time. Increases your damage dealt to enemies inflicted with bleed by 16%. You need Rivers of Blood, which it already comes on there, so you don't really need to worry about it. Increases the skill damage by 30% by enemies that are inflicted with bleed. That is very, very important, people. Make sure that you have this perk, so do not change it. Because since we are a bleed build and we're throwing on all this bleed, once you activate that extra 30%, you're doing a tremendous amount of damage. Now, what I would throw in that 3rd spot is Extra Quake. Now, I know this one off the top of my head because Extra Quake just gives you another Earthquake before cooldown. In total, what you should have is 3 Earthquakes and 4 Impales, 1 Tremor. That's really what the goal is here. Alright, now for our hands. Another thing that's not helping me. Alright. Of course, I'm going to butcher the hell out of that. I'm not even going to try it. Basically, using an Earthquake permanently reduces the resistance affected of the enemies by 30%. Phone, shut up. And then you need Ground Crush, which increases the base damage of your Earthquake by, is that a million? 1,500,000, etc., etc. Okay, that's a lot of numbers. I would throw Impaler here, which What does Impaler do? I would have to look at it again. Impaler. I think that gives you something. That's not this down here, is it? No, I already have Impaler. So that's my bad. Okay, so no, you really have Impaler. Scratch that off. What you could throw here is some of these down here. Alright. So you could throw Power, Assimilation, since we already have Impaler, because I wasn't even thinking. Power and Assimilation, off the top of my head, is, I think it's like 216,000 more Anomaly power for every elite on the field. So there's that, or you can throw Fresh Mag, which is whenever you reload you get Anomaly power. I don't know the number. Or you can throw on Move Groove, which increases your Anomaly power when you're moving. So you're going to do that for your hands, and then for your shoes we already have in Impaler. So we're perfect with that. You need Second Quake, which increases the skill, or the skill can be activated one more time before cooldown, and then Shattered Spike, Impale, the skill, okay, so it just increases the base skill damage by 2,300,000 and blah 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 blah. So those are exactly the things that need to be on your armor. I'm sorry if that was a little confusing. This is my first build video and it's a lot of information, and really when you play with it and you see it, as I will show you footage, or that I have shown you in the beginning or in the end, wherever the hell I put it, you will understand that this build is really good solo. Being with friends is a little harder because the more people in your lobby, the harder things get. So in my mind, if you had 2 people running this build, it would be like if you're playing solo. If you had 3 people running this build, it'd be like if you're running 2 people. Like, it's not really solo, but like it'd be a little harder. Like, that's just it in my mind. So yeah, that's basically how you need this set up. I hope you guys understand it. I apologize again if it was a bit fast. I'll try and slow down for another video and kind of think a little more. But yeah, I will be putting up a second video once I have all the pieces where it needs to be. Even if I've learned new information, I will definitely update that video so that when you guys see the final product and how it works, you guys will know exactly what to make and what to look for. Anyway guys, thank you for being patient, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you have liked it, go ahead, like, sub to the channel, comment down below of any questions, comments, concerns, or anything I've missed, or any useful information you would like to teach me. I am more than happy to learn. Anyway guys, my name's Notorious, and have a wonderful day.